Representation is very important in media, whether that's representation of different kinds of people, cultures, or experiences they may have. VivziePop tried to portray one of those more negative experiences someone may go through in her series, Hazbin Hotel. Now, both VivziePop and all of her works are honestly quite controversial topics. It seems that people either feel strong hatred or love for the show with little in between, but the specific character I see the most hate for is none other than Angel Dust. So today, I thought it would be interesting to discuss why people dislike Angel Dust so much and ask ourselves the question, is he really bad representation? Warning, this video contains opinions that may or may not align with your own. Please be kind to everyone in the comments when discussing. Also, beware of spoilers for Hazbin Hotel. The premise of Hazbin Hotel is that Charlie Morningstar wants to create a hotel for rehabilitation, so that she can hopefully find a way for her citizens to enter heaven and escape their fate in hell. Why is this though? Well, to keep the population of hell low and prevent any chance of an uprising against heaven, they've established an army of angels that comes down to slaughter thousands of sinners every year. These are Charlie's people and she can't stand to see them be treated in such a way, hence why she opened the Hazbin Hotel. So who's Angel Dust in relation to the story? Well, Angel Dust is the first and only resident at the hotel at the start of season 1. He's a famous porn star staying at the hotel. His characterization throughout the first half of season 1 is quite snarky, with him often sexualizing himself and others through his constant teasing, but he does show some major character development throughout the latter half of the series, though I will admit, it's a bit rushed. Anywho, Angel Dust's story follows his growth as he stays at the hotel, bonding with the other residents and staff there. Now that we have a basic understanding of the premise and our main topic of the day, let's take a moment to discuss the show itself. We're going to go through Angel Dust's characterization and development throughout every episode. Also, I promise I'm not about to sit here, go through the basic plot of every episode, and offer nothing of any real substance to you guys. I would never do y'all dirty like that, okay? We're going to lightly discuss the plot of each episode, but mostly focus on Angel Dust's portrayal and how he develops over the course of the first season, and also discuss some problems many others seem to find with him that I interpreted differently. Our first introduction to Angel Dust comes as the hotel staff and residents are debating what kind of impression they want to leave with their first commercial promoting the hotel.
What? If you're filming a commercial, can I suggest you take better advantage of the talented celebrity you have right here?
Angel, you're a porn star.
A famous porn star.
Angel Dust offers his help in his own special way, quickly establishing who he is at a surface level and what he's doing here at the hotel, stating that he's here mostly for the free rent. Charlie reassures him that they don't want him to feel exploited, hence why they won't be taking the commercial in a more mature direction. But he goes on and on about how he was made exactly for this purpose. I often see a lot of criticism for this introduction to Angel Dust as a character, but I think it makes sense for him. But I'll touch upon this more when we get to episode 4, so bear with me as we recap a bit more. Throughout this episode, it's made clear that he isn't actually taking the hotel experience seriously.
We're in hell, Toots. That's kind of the end of the road, ain't it?
Well, maybe it doesn't have to be. Just because nobody has made it out before doesn't mean it's not possible.
Hey, whatever means I can keep crashing here rent-free. Crack is expensive.
Angel Dust does not see redemption being a likely possibility, so he has given up. This makes sense given the situation he finds himself in. Though it hasn't been revealed yet, Angel Dust's soul is actually owned by an overlord by the name of Valentino. With no way to escape his contract, it seems that Angel Dust has lost all hope. The idea that he could possibly be redeemed and escape this relationship he shares with Valentino must seem so out of reach to him. Anyway, back to episode 1. While Charlie is off negotiating with the army of angels with little success, the others back at the hotel actually managed to finish their commercial with the help of Alistair, and there's a specific line that caught my attention on my most recent rewatch.
Yeah, one of my better performances if I do say so myself.
I feel like without context, this can just be played off as a filler line. With the context that Angel Dust is trapped in a soul contract that requires him to create sexually explicit content for others' entertainment, even at his own expense, this line kind of feels a bit more sincere. There is such genuine disappointment and annoyance from all of them when the commercial is interrupted by breaking news.
Welcome to the Hazbin Hotel.
I interpreted this as him taking a little bit more pride in this commercial, as it was something he actually wanted to make and seemingly had a fun time doing. Unlike with his other film experience, it wasn't something anyone else forced him to do, but rather something he did to support his friend Charlie and her business. Anyway, we'll get more into his career and relationship with his work a bit later. Moving on to episode 2, this episode introduces us to the dynamic between Angel Dust and his boss Valentino properly. Our first hint at their toxic dynamic comes in the form of text messages pouring into Angel Dust's phone. There's not a lot of time to process them as they go by, so please enjoy this interpretation of these text messages from my best friend, who has never seen the show, but was still better at channeling Valentino's energy than I was.
So, I'm thinking, you and 3 huge guys are getting it on, and it's really hot and oily, and then it's revealed you're on a boat, and it's sinking, so you all have to come as fast as you can. Have you seen temperature play vids? Lol, cause there's gonna be ice. So, get that flat bony ass to the studio, baby. As you can see, the ideas are flowing. So, it's been 30 seconds. Don't be like this, baby. This isn't cute, Angel. Legit, I'm so bored of this little cat and mouse chase. For real, over it. Fucking bitch. Babe, Angel, where the fuck are you?
Sorry. I love my best friend so much. So with those messages in mind, I think it's easy to understand that the dynamic the two of them share is toxic. But with those messages going by so quick, I wouldn't be surprised if many viewers blinked and missed it. The good news is that they established this dynamic much more firmly in just a moment. It is this episode that we meet the V's more properly, a trio of overlords that each have a monopoly over their respective industries in hell, with Velvet handling social media, Vox technology, and Valentino managing the porn industry. Valentino is currently having a meltdown over Angel Dust moving out to live in the hotel. He's upset about Angel Dust moving out and is not taking it well at all.
Hey, sweet cheeks. What you doing later? I love me a man with a giant tool.
See? Look at how he flirts with that guy, and he's not even paying! Who is that? I'm gonna fucking kill his whole fucking family!
Even while Angel Dust is just flirting with this repairman summoned by Alistair, he constantly keeps on this sexual persona of his. But that aside for now, let's discuss his reaction to Sir Pentious. Sir Pentious is a self-proclaimed rival of Alistair, though that feeling isn't mutual. After launching an attack on the hotel and being quickly taken care of by Alistair, he's hired by the V's to infiltrate the hotel to ensure Alistair and Charlie don't make a deal. Vox has a deep hatred for Alistair to say the least, hence why he wouldn't want him to have access to such power. Anywho, Angel Dust is very hesitant to accept Sir Pentious as a resident at the hotel, but Charlie is more than happy to welcome him. She gives him a tour and celebrates having their first proper resident, with Angel Dust taking offense at such a notion.
So excited to have our first real guest.
What the hell am I then?
Angel Dust is clearly hurt by this idea that he isn't trying to improve at all, as this snarky and sexual persona of his is simply an unhealthy coping mechanism for the afterlife he's stuck with, and not who he truly is. Anyway, throughout the episode, Charlie is trying to help our only 2 residents bond together through various games and activities as they work to redeem themselves. One of these activities includes acting out a drug deal, giving Sir Pentious the opportunity to practice saying no to drugs. I'd like to point out the difference in Angel Dust's performance here versus his performance in the commercial from the previous episode.
Hey, you.
Oh, me?
Yeah, you look like a kid who could use some devil's dandruff. Oh, for fuck's sake. I've been a bad boy, and I need a big, strong daddy to put me in my place. On the path to redemption.
Angel Dust was embracing his porn star persona in the commercial, possibly because, like he said, his status as a famous porn star will have the horniest sinners knocking down those hotel doors. Perhaps he was trying to help the hotel in his own way, but compared to now, he doesn't have any of that energy in this acting scenario. Is this because it's not being broadcasted anywhere beyond the hotel, or because he's annoyed by Sir Pentious' presence? I personally believe it to be the latter, as he's feeling a little insecure in his place here in the hotel. As the sole resident before, Angel Dust could slack off as much as he wanted, knowing Charlie had no one else to actually compare him to. But with this new goody two-shoes Sir Pentious around, his position is threatened. Charlie could theoretically kick Angel Dust out if he was taking up a space that a resident with more potential could have. I seriously doubt Charlie would ever kick out a resident like this, especially Angel Dust, who she clearly has a ton of faith in, but Angel Dust may not know that. Anyway, later that night in his room, Angel Dust is feeling dejected just to be bombarded by a horde of voice notes from Valentino.
Angel, baby, come home. It's not the same without you here. I miss you. Come back. Angel, you bitch! If you don't come home, you will be fucking greasy truckers for the next year! Hey, amorcito, I didn't mean to yell, but you know how crazy you make me. You fucking slut!
After ignoring Val all day, he's really in for it when he returns to work. We'll discuss this unhealthy relationship between the two of them a bit more later though. Needing to let off some steam, he takes a stroll around the hotel to get a drink when he happens upon Sir Pentious setting up Fox's spy cameras. The two get into it, but with Charlie's help, Sir Pentious realizes the error of his ways and decides to actually begin a true path of redemption, becoming an actual resident at the hotel, and with that, episode 2 is over. A week has passed since the last episode, but Angel Dust still doesn't care for Sir Pentious much. He's still rather skeptical of the hotel premise in general, not believing it will actually lead to redemption in any way. You can see this attitude still present during the trust exercises, in which he looks pretty fed up the entire time.
Something about myself, huh? Well, how about this? I love to suck
I swear to fuck if you say dicks.
popsicles, you sicko! Get your mind out of the gutter!
He is simply messing around here rather than taking it more seriously and acting in earnest like Sir Pentious is. Tired of these activities, Angel Dust suggests they try another one, bringing the crew to a BDSM dungeon.
No bond stronger than those formed through bondage.
Annoyed by Angel Dust's idea, Baggy drags him out to a battlefield to bond through combat, the way she learned to trust others. God, this feels like foreshadowing. But this video is not about Baggy, it's about Angel Dust. So, this strategy of hers actually seems to work, with Angel Dust and Sir Pentious being much closer now, bonding after engaging in such a riveting battle. And with that, we end episode 3 with Angel Dust starting to open up a bit more and be his true self around the residents and the staff of the hotel. Episode 4, the moment you've all been waiting for. Let's just dive straight in. This episode revolves entirely around Angel Dust's relationship with Valentino and his struggles with addiction. The episode opens up with Angel Dust showing the other residents a porno he's rather proud of for show and tell.
You know, this performance won me a sexy one.
Huss gives him a bit of crap for this performance, calling him out for not actually being proud of these pornos he's presenting, as he points out that Angel Dust often gets drunk and complains about them to Huss. Angel Dust doesn't take him seriously, once again reverting to his fake sexual persona and telling him off.
Oh, me? Fake? Wow, I had no idea. Guess that's why I'm an actor, dumbass. And... hold that thought.
He's interrupted with a call from Valentino though, and told that he needs to head to the studio immediately. Charlie tries to stop him, still having some work left to do for the day, but Angel Dust goes anyway. With some encouragement from Baggy, Charlie decides to take the initiative and confront Valentino with the intent of being so kind to him that he'll just have to let Angel Dust spend more time at the hotel. We then cut to Angel Dust hard at work when Charlie comes in. He's clearly uncomfortable with the idea of mixing his personal and professional lives, rushing Charlie away.
I'm here to get you some time off for the hotel. Now where's your boss?
Oh, no. You are going nowhere near there.
Can we just take a brief moment to appreciate Blake Roman's performance here? The genuine fear in his tone is just so perfect. I'm so happy with his voice acting, especially in this episode. Charlie tells Val that she's there to speak with him about Angel, and Val shoots Angel this dirty look. Charlie oversteps a bit, interfering with the shoot and upsetting Valentino, who is quick to take his anger out on Angel Dust. As much as I would like to describe this scene to you guys, I think it would be better if I just showed it to you, because it truly does speak for itself.
Val, I didn't know... Val,
You really think you can have Lucifer's little bitch fight battles for you?
Val, please, I'm sorry.
You bring her here to protect you? To fuck with me?
Stop!
You think she can get you out of work?
No, that's not what I'm trying to do. No!
You know she can't do anything. I own you. Or have you forgotten that?
No.
It was clear that the dynamic between these two was bad before this, but this scene clearly establishes just how abusive it really is, and that Angel Dust has no way out of this situation as Valentino literally owns his soul. As punishment for Charlie's behavior, Valentino is having Angel Dust get rid of her and then film for the rest of the night. Charlie sees a glimpse of this abuse and goes to defend Angel, but is quickly shut down by Angel himself. He lashes out at her a bit that she just made everything worse and that she needs to go right now. It's so clear to me that Angel Dust isn't telling her this because he really wants to, but rather because he needs to. Not only is he required to buy Val, but it's his only way to protect her from him, to keep her away from a monster like Valentino. Now, for one of the most controversial parts of the episode, Poison. This song is so wildly misunderstood, it kind of drives me insane. A common critique I saw from others was how having Angel Dust express his abuse in this fun, hyperpop banger was offensive, but I actually disagree. Let's talk about the placement of this song in the episode for a moment. This song takes place as Angel Dust is forced to endure a grueling night of back-to-back shoots, unable to say no to Valentino. He is forced to put up this facade as an actor, unable to feel the pain he's actually in. To me, this song reaffirms to us that the angel dust we so often see is a wall he's putting up, a coping mechanism to deal with the horrible treatment he faces in his professional life. I feel like this is only further proven by the ending of the song, in which the music grows softer as he breaks down at the end of his workday.
Poison, I'm drowning in poison. I'm filling up my glass, but it's always hollow, full of poison. I'm sick of the poison. Wish I had something to live for tomorrow.
It's frustrating to see so many people act as if there's not deeper meaning to this song. I can understand not liking the song, but to criticize it for this point specifically just seems a bit silly to me. Following Poison, Angel returns home, clearly exhausted and in need of a drink. But Husk isn't entertaining this bullshit tonight.
Call me quick one more time, motherfucker! I dare you.
Think.
Fucking asshole! Oh, God!
You done?
Angel lashes out at Husk for calling him fake, going on and on about how he is the angel dust, and how lucky Husk would be to have the opportunity to fuck him, before storming off to get a drink elsewhere. It's really sad to see Angel Dust struggle with his self-worth like this. I don't know how long he's been working for Valentino, but it seems like it's been quite a long time, so it makes sense for his self-worth to be so strongly tied to his image as a famous porn star. It feels as though Angel is in need of constant validation, probably because in the workplace, he needs to keep his boss happy at all times and seeks Val's approval to avoid being abused. It could also be because he's ashamed of what Val makes him do and is seeking reassurance from others to make him feel less ashamed for the things he does for a living. Anywho, Charlie and Vaggie send Husk out to keep an eye on Angel Dust. He follows him to some random bar where he's hanging around with several goons, and one of these guys tries to roofie Angel, but Husk intervenes, dragging him out of the bar for his own safety. Angel lashes out once again, saying how he knew he was getting drugged, he does this all the time, and that he doesn't need anyone to come and save him. Husk calls Angel out on this bullshit once again, saying how he would treat him better if Angel weren't so fake all the time.
Cut the act.
It's not an act! It's who I need to be. And maybe, if I can ruin myself enough in the process, if I end up broken, I won't be his favorite toy anymore. And maybe he'll let me go.
Angel Dust is self-destructing in this way because he wants Val to finally leave him alone. It's a self-defense mechanism he's developed in the hopes that he can finally escape his contract by ruining himself. Husk reveals to Angel Dust that he too is stuck in a less than desirable contract, having lost his status as an overlord through gambling and becoming indebted to Alistair. Here we have the next song in the episode, Loser Baby. Side note, this is my favorite song in the season, so there's a fun fact about me. Anywho, Husk tells Angel Dust how there's really nothing either of them can do about their situations, but as depressing as it is, they can still find comfort in knowing there's others with similar struggles to them. Angel Dust doesn't need to suffer alone, he can open himself up to Husk and be his real self without having to put up this front that he so often does. I saw some people critique this song for not offering a real solution to Angel Dust, and I hate to be negative, but I fear this is a valid approach to the situation. As nice as it would be for Angel Dust to go tell Valentino to fuck off and never have to deal with him again, that idea is a bit unrealistic. Sometimes life sucks, but having people in our corner that we can turn to when times are tough helps. There are things that will be out of our control no matter what. To end the episode out, Charlie apologizes to Angel Dust, who quickly forgives her, knowing she had good intent. Him and Husk then head off for a drink together, bonding over their shared struggles. Now, let's take a moment to look back on Angel Dust's initial introduction. I promised y'all I'd get back to it. With this new information in mind that he's putting on a facade and disassociating most of the time, I think his overtly sexual personality makes a lot more sense. Angel Dust is lying to himself, embracing this persona of his as a famous porn star because to face the reality that he's actually a prisoner in this afterlife of his is too hard to deal with. Angel Dust doesn't seem to have had much of a support system before the hotel outside of Cherry Bomb, but she couldn't really do much for him outside of emotional support, it seems. Valentino owns Angel Dust's soul. There is nothing Cherry Bomb can really do about that other than be there for him. Now with the hotel, he has a much greater support system, having Charlie in his corner to help him, mostly by providing a place for him to stay that he can be safe away from his abuser. At least Angel Dust now has a home he can come to without Valentino being present, something he didn't have before, as it was confirmed in episode 2 that he used to live with Val. Angel Dust having this time and space away from Val has allowed him to reflect on the situation more, and also given him the chance to find more support through the single other resident and staff of the hotel, primarily finding this in his relationship with Husk. It makes sense to me that Husk is who he found himself closest to. Angel Dust has a bad history of substance abuse, literally having died from an overdose in 1947, so it's nothing new to him. We also learned in this episode that Angel Dust often allows himself to get roofied in order to escape the reality of his situation, and possibly ruin himself enough that Val won't want him anymore. So it doesn't really surprise me that he was often hanging around the bar, allowing for him and Husk to grow closer. Husk finds himself in a similarly unpleasant situation, but has taken a different approach to it, instead accepting the situation and simply making the best out of it, even if it doesn't seem like it a lot of the time given his grumpy attitude. Now, moving on to episode 5. The next exorcism is quickly approaching and Charlie is beginning to panic, struggling to get the hotel to work. With no other idea, she calls up her father, Lucifer, aka the King of Hell.
Hey, you short king.
This episode is much more focused on Charlie's relationship with her father, not having as much screen time for Angel Dust. But one thing of note here is how he's actually toned down with the sexual humor and seems to be a more active participant in the rehabilitation program. That's not to say this sense of humor of his is gone completely, but he's respecting the other's boundaries much more than he did in previous episodes. At the start of episode 6, Angel Dust returns to the hotel after being ran through by Val. Initially, he's absolutely exhausted, but when Cherry Bomb drops by to cheer him up, she encourages him that resting won't lift his spirits, but rather they should go have a night on the town. While out at the club, Angel Dust can be seen opening up a bit more about the abuse he's suffering at the hands of Val, much more than he did in the past. Before, he often pretended that he took pride in and enjoyed the things he did for his work, but now he's much more openly annoyed with Val's antics. Cherry wants Angel to relax and have a nice night, so she offers him some drugs. Angel initially chooses to abstain, but with some encouragement from Cherry, he gives in and loosens up a bit, doing shots with her and the others.
Everything's spinning.
I think you're done,
Oh, come on, bitch.
She can handle a little more. She's like 10 pounds soaking wet and oh shit, where'd you go?
With Nifty going a bit overboard with the shots, Angel takes it upon himself to take care of her for the night alongside Husk, but eventually they notice Valentino is there at the club too. Angel is immediately ready to leave, not wanting to run into him, but the two end up conversing after Nifty bumps into him.
Fuck off.
You forget who you're talking to. I own you, bitch.
Yeah, you do. In the studio, but out here, I get to do what I want. So once again, fuck off.
Enjoy the rest of your night, bitch. Because I'm going to enjoy making you pay for it tomorrow.
Angel Dust goes off on Val, reminding him that their deal is only when Angel is at work, and out here, he is his own free man. Of course, being an abuser, Val does not take this lightly, publicly hitting Angel Dust and promising to make him pay for it tomorrow at work. But what's done is done, and Angel doesn't regret his actions. I saw some people say that this moment upset them because they felt like the show was trying to act like this was Angel Dust's win, but I didn't really interpret the scene that way. It felt more like a small victory for Angel Dust as he was able to stand up to his abuser, but it's not like Angel standing up to Val in this moment will have any long-lasting positive effects on him. Abusers do not often take kindly to their victims standing up for themselves, so it's likely that this will only worsen Angel's abuse at work. I mean, hell, he even said it himself. Episode 7 doesn't really have much going for Angel Dust, mostly due to the fact that we're building up to the finale. With things looking grim and Heaven waging war against the hotel specifically, the team is preparing for an all-out war.
Fortify that. Well, look who decided to show up. We thought we were fighting by ourselves.
One thing I noticed was how Angel Dust seems to be taking the lead a bit with their preparations for the battle, which I found really sweet, especially when you think about how he felt about the hotel being hopeless just a few months ago. Well, we've made it to the finale, the culmination of all of Angel Dust's character development. This episode is not very focused on him, as the exorcism is the main focus of course, but there are some moments that I think reveal just how far Angel Dust has come in the last 6 months. With the war against Heaven tomorrow, the hotel gang is having a little celebration to get into the fighting spirit. There's this really sweet moment between Husk and Angel that I enjoy quite a lot. Compare this to his attitude in the second episode.
Yeah, well, who would want to use their last days not fucking and fighting?
Last day of Afterlife, and you're not off snorting a line off some hunk's abs?
You fucked one cannibal pool boy, you fucked them all.
I guess you have changed.
Hey, Charlie said live tonight however we wanted. So pour me a fresh one, and let's get to living.
It's nice to see how much Angel has grown, not only opening up to the others, but also how he's embraced who he truly is, no longer feeling the need to put up these walls and maintain a persona that isn't really him. Now with the battle between Heaven and the hotel finally happening, Angel Dust fights alongside his friends to defend the hotel, even in a fight that seems hopeless. With some noble sacrifices, most of them manage to survive the battle and work together to rebuild the hotel, eager to give other sinners a chance at redemption like they had thanks to Charlie. And with that, Season 1 of Hazbin Hotel is done. Most of Angel Dust's character development took place around the middle of the season, with the latter half being a bit lacking. A common critique I saw that I will give credit to is that not only was his story, but the overall pacing of the show was a bit rough. And I do have to agree, but I don't entirely blame VivziePop for that. The show was given 8 episodes initially, and as far as I'm aware, they did not know if they would receive a second, let alone 3 more seasons at the time of production. So it makes sense that they had to rush the character arcs they wanted to portray a bit. All we can do is hope that in the future, we can get a bit more filler so we can see our characters get fleshed out a bit more. Now that we've gone over Angel Dust's characterization throughout the first season, let's address some of the problems I saw that many people had with him as a character. I don't want to name any names, as I don't want anyone to receive hate for their opinions, but I did try my best to do research into what other people thought about his character, taking some time to watch some video essays that contrast with my own opinions, and I even searched through Twitter to find some old threads from when Hazbin Hotel first premiered. So I think I can understand what the problems most people have with Angel Dust are. A common issue I saw people voice in regards to Angel Dust was that they felt he was a negative stereotype of gay men. I can understand where these people are coming from at a first glance. We've got an overly sexualized junkie that constantly pushes the boundaries of others around him, all negative stereotypes pushed onto gay men by homophobic individuals. But I think simplifying Angel Dust to only these traits is such a disservice to him as a character. Let's discuss why exactly he struggles with substance abuse in the first place. As we've already established, Angel Dust is a victim of sexual abuse at the hands of Valentino. Exploitation is extremely common in the porn industry, and I actually read some accounts from former male sex workers while doing some research for this video. Many of them talked about the abuse they faced and how they were constantly on substances to maintain a high and get through shoots. Some even developed medical problems from being forced to take performance-enhancing drugs. One might ask, why don't they simply quit if it's so unpleasant of an experience? And I would assume those people have never been in an abusive relationship before, whether with an individual or an entire industry. To leave the porn industry is not so simple as quitting. You need to be able to secure another job in order to leave the industry. This is a difficult task for anyone with no real work experience. Most people would not want to put that kind of work on their resume, and it'd be hard to explain the gap between jobs to a potential employer, making those in the industry much more dependent on it to maintain their current lifestyles. It is an industry that takes advantage of those who find themselves in a bad place, manipulating them into a career as a sex worker. So what exactly does all of this have to do with Angel Dust's substance abuse? Well, substance abuse often stems from a need to disassociate, something Angel Dust has explicitly admitted he does in episode 4 during his talk with Huss. So yes, in a way, this does play into a stereotype about gay men that they often abuse substances, but to chalk it up to just that is so disrespectful to the rest of his story, at least in my opinion. What's really interesting to me is that Angel Dust actually passed away from an overdose around his mid-30s in 1947. So why was he already abusing substances before he even came to hell? Well, according to an older VivziePop stream, he was a part of an Italian mob family before he died. Having connections to the underground world of crime would likely lead to him getting involved with narcotics. Another thing to consider is that Angel Dust was a gay man in the 1940s, a very difficult time to be queer. Back in 1940s New York, homosexuality was actually criminalized at the time. Queer people tried to create communities like Greenwich Village and Harlem as a safe haven of sorts, but despite this, gay bars were often raided by police. Anyone in attendance risked being arrested for lewd behavior or indecency for simply being caught in a bar known for serving queer individuals. This was such a difficult time for Angel Dust to be himself in. Plus, he was a member of the Italian Mafia, most likely meaning there was a lot of pressure to maintain a more masculine persona for him. Being gay was seen as a mental illness, something to be ashamed of and to seek a cure for. This is obviously not true, but we have to keep in mind that Angel Dust had to live within this rigid society, forced to fit into what a man was supposed to be, and that was not gay. It wouldn't surprise me if entering hell was a form of relief for him, a place where he could be himself more openly. Perhaps embracing the lifestyle he actually wanted was what led him to Valentino, eventually resulting in the two striking up a deal. In another interesting account from a former male sex worker, he spoke about how he knew a lot of LGBTQ people who had never had a chance to explore their sexuality, and sought out the porn industry in order to do so, only to be abused in said industry that they thought would be a safe space. We see in episode 6 that Valentino is willing to recruit casual clubgoers. Perhaps he met a new-to-hell Angel Dust, experimenting with his sexuality at one of these clubs, and recruited him. Moving on, another common complaint I saw was that his overtly sexual sense of humor was too much, with many finding it to be pushing a negative stereotype about queer people being overly sexual in general and not understanding boundaries. I can understand where people would get this idea, especially those who only watched the first few episodes where he is constantly harassing the staff. I'm not going to sit here and defend these actions of his, saying how they're being blown out of proportion. There are numerous examples of Angel Dust harassing the others, primarily Husk, but we're not here to say whether or not Angel Dust is a good person, but rather if he's good representation of a victim of sexual abuse. Another interesting account I saw online while doing research was from someone who had experienced sexual abuse at a very young age, and to cope with it, made it their entire personality. They tried to convince themselves that they were happy living this way and hoped that if they could make others believe they were okay, they too would eventually believe it. I actually personally knew someone who had a similar reaction to being sexually abused, finding that sex was the only thing that gave them worth. So they would offer themselves to anyone who took interest in them, feeling that casual friendship was off the table without those additional benefits. I remember when they told me I was the first person to turn them down sexually, and how much it meant to them to have an actual friendship without that aspect. The point of all of this is, it is not entirely unheard of for victims of sexual abuse to become more hypersexual people after the fact. It's also important to note how much he toned down these aspects of his personality after finally opening up to Husk about his qualms with his work life. Another interesting thing to consider when talking about his more sexual personality is actually his queerness. You see, with the persecution of queer people at the time, they had to adapt, often finding safety in found families, living in boarding houses with other like-minded individuals. Something to note though, is that not all queer people are the same, nor will they have the same interests outside of their sexual identities. So, for many of them, it was an easy aspect of themselves to bond over, leading to that overtly sexual sense of humor that we are often known for, becoming prominent within the community. This could be another reason why Angel Dust still has hints of this sense of humor in the latter half of season 1, with him even making a sexual joke during the final confrontation against Adam in The Exorcist.
These fucking angels won't stop coming. Okay, I walked right into that.
Overall, I don't believe Angel Dust having these personality traits diminishes who he is as a character, but in a way shows an understanding of queer culture at the time. It's also important to keep in mind that he is much more than just a stereotypical gay man, but that often goes unacknowledged by many of the essays I saw about him, simplifying him down to just these traits as if there's not much more to who he is as a character. So what exactly makes good representation then? Well, representation is subjective. What I find relatable may seem completely out of touch to someone else. I feel like the larger issue in fandom overall these days is that many people seem to feel entitled to representation, and when a character doesn't react the way they would, it's immediately deemed ingenuine. Let me share a quick story with y'all. A few years ago, someone broke into my apartment while I was at work. I returned home earlier than usual because I was feeling unwell, only to walk inside and find a man that I didn't know in my dining room. Take a moment to think, what would you do in this situation? Perhaps you'd rush outside and call the police, or confront the man, demanding he leave. That's how some of my friends said they would have reacted, but that's not what I did. In the moment, not knowing if this man had a weapon and not wanting to provoke him, I tried to calmly ask him what he was doing there, and politely asked him to leave. And luckily for me, he did. I'm very lucky he left when I asked. I would assume because he had not expected me to be back home for several hours and did not know what else to do in that situation. The point is, everyone would have reacted to the situation differently, but just because I didn't react how you may have, doesn't mean my experience is any less valid than yours. No two people are the same. We are all unique individuals, so to expect us to react the same way would be silly. So with that in mind, let's think about the way people discuss Angel Dust's sexual abuse online. When Hazbin Hotel first dropped, I often saw criticism that someone who had been sexually abused like he was would not react in the way he did, and that it invalidated him being representation for that group of people at all, instead being seen as exploitation from VivziePop. I always found this opinion rather entitled, as just because you did not react this way when you were sexually abused does not mean others did not. There are many people out there who did experience sexual abuse in some capacity and became more hypersexual individuals as a result. I saw some of these people come forward on platforms like Twitter to defend Angel Dust, saying how much they related to him and how his portrayal helped them cope with their own trauma, only to be met with waves of hate themselves, being told that their experiences were not valid. This is very upsetting to see, as those who defended Angel Dust for those reasons do not deserve such treatment in my opinion. The point is, just because you may not have been able to relate to Angel Dust when it came to how he dealt with his trauma, does not mean he is not valid representation. So to answer the question I asked at the start of this video, no. I do not believe that Angel Dust is bad representation. I think he serves as positive representation, actually. In the end, it's up to you whether or not you think of Angel Dust as good representation. Despite everything I just said, You're not obligated to like Angel Dust as a character just because I do. I just wanted to share how interesting I found his character arc to be and discuss why I personally felt he was good representation. It was really interesting to see why others felt the opposite and try to understand that perspective better. I truly love exploring opinions that differ from my own. I hope y'all enjoyed this video. I'd love to hear your thoughts, and if you agreed or disagreed with anything I said, so please feel free to leave a comment. Anyways, thank you all for watching. I hope you all have a wonderful day or night, and if you're watching this just before bed, sleep tight. Bye!